What's going to happen to legacy auto? At the moment, Tesla is the only EV manufacturer that is actually making a profit on its EVs. BYD may now be making a profit with the influx of Chinese EVs to Australia and to other countries. Problems abound for other countries. So this may be why Europe is putting tariffs on imports from China. And President-elect Trump is also shouting loudly about 100 and 200% tariffs. Yeah, well, anyway. So, Ford, for example, is making around $100,000 loss on each EV that it sells. Now, okay, they were ramping up production and now they're decreasing production, not increasing it. Same for VW, which is shutting down some of its factories. Nissan has laid off 9,000 people or so. So what about the future? Well, let's go through some of the legacy auto manufacturers that are actually making EVs, or at least think they are. So I think I'll start with the Japanese companies. As I think these lot are in the biggest trouble. Now, as I've already mentioned, Nissan is laying off workers, and I think they're in the biggest heap of trouble at the moment. So at least they've got the Aria at the moment, which doesn't look too bad, and the Prologue, I think, in the States, doing okay with those. Now, it did have a head start with the Nissan Leaf, or Nissan, as they used to say in America. But they haven't done very much with it. I mean, they could have done so much more. Oh well, I'm going to give them about a 50% chance of survival. Mazda, basically, yeah, they've had their MX-30 piece of shit. Well, it was a compliance car after all, and they've also got nothing. Yeah, I don't know what else they're hiding up their sleeves, but I'm only going to give them a 25% chance of survival to 2030. Suzuki, they've just brought out the e-Vitara, but it's not going to go into production until between March and May 2025 next year in India. Yeah, 25% chance. Now, lastly there, really, we've got Toyota. Now, these had a massive lead on the other companies, well, maybe not so much on Nissan. And all they've really done is expand the hybrid lineup because they still want to put bloody engines in cars. They don't believe EVs are in the future yet. They did try something with a BZ4X, which Subaru also copied. But it's more expensive than the Tesla Model Y. It doesn't go as far and basically is inferior in most specifications. Now, in Australia, they've only sold 771 units since its introduction in Australia in February this year. Now, that's up to the end of September. Tesla have sold thousands. Yeah. So one of the guys at Toyota Australia has said it's not about volume, but about understanding the market. Dope. Market is obvious, certainly to me, so no understanding is needed. I think they're only going to get about a 50% chance. Let's move on to some European car makers. BMW, I think they've taken on the EV trend and they've grabbed it by the horns and gone with it. So they've got quite an excellent selection of, albeit mostly luxury EVs, but they're selling them. And I think they've got a good chance of going beyond 2030. Mercedes, another company that is similar to BMW, maybe not quite as an expansive range, but I still think that these two companies have got a good 90% chance of survival. Another luxury brand? No. Another luxury brand is Porsche. And now they did pretty well with the Taycan, and I think that the new Macan EV will do all right. But when the Chinese supercars or hypercars come and undercut them, yeah, it looks 75% chance. VW, they're in trouble in my opinion. Their EVs are not selling very well, as I believe they're too expensive for what you're actually getting. I mean, just look at the ID Buzz. It's around $100,000 starting price here in Australia. Duh! Now they're having to close factories as sales are declining. They've also got a massive debt. 75% chance? Probably a bit too generous. Audi, well, whatever VW do, Audi would do because VW own them. Now, their cars are at the luxury end of the market and they're not selling very well. So, same 75% chance with them. Now, Groupe Renault, or the Renault Group, they've started to produce some really good EVs and more to come. And they do seem to be focusing on EVs and bringing back some old classics like the Renault 5, which is facelifted as an EV. Great little car. And they're also more affordable than most other brands. So I'm going to give Renault a good 90% chance of survival. Now, at this point, I would like to invite you to click that like and subscribe button below. It really does help the channel. Thank you. Another French company is Peugeot. That's doing quite well, certainly in the European EV market. In fact, they actually outsold Renault in 2023, I believe, in the EV world. So they've got a good chance of survival at around 90%. Now, another company over there, Dacia, and I did a video recently on the Dacia Spring. They make cheap EVs in Romania. And surprisingly, in sales, they weren't too far behind Renault. All these are EV sales, by the way, so good chance of survival, maybe 75% chance. Fiat and Citroën, well, I think they're in the same boat, those two. They've both got a few EVs, but they're not selling very well in Europe. They haven't done much outside of Europe. I think Fiat have got the E500 or whatever it is in America. Look, 70% chance. Jaguar, or Jaguar Land Rover, Jaguar are actually shutting down all their manufacturing plants to reinvent themselves as an electric brand. Now, the I-Pace was actually a really nice car, apart from the battery. And it was almost affordable. Look, they're not going to reopen for a year or two. So, look, a 50% chance if they're lucky. There are several other European EV manufacturers, Lotus and so on. Very hard to predict some of those because they've only got a small market. They always have. Volvo, yeah, I think they're in trouble. Look, as is Polestar, which is a branch off. They're owned by different companies, I think, now. Their cars, I think they're somewhat overpriced for what you get, my opinion. Now, the quality is very good. I've sat in the Volvo, whichever one it was, the Polestar 2 and 3 and so on. Look, they're very well-made cars, but the price is up there. And they haven't really been thought of as a luxury brand so much. I think that's what they're trying to do. So, look, 60% chance. Let's move over to Korean companies. Now, I feel they're doing an excellent job. Look, you've got Hyundai and Kia, basically. Hyundai owns Kia. And they're bringing some brilliant EVs to the market. SsangYong, yeah, not so good. So both Hyundai and Kia, as I've said, they've got some great EVs on the market now and some great ones coming through. I think that these two have got almost 100% chance of survival past 2030. And there's also Genesis, which is the posh end of Hyundai, the luxury brand, and I think that will probably keep going as well. And then we've got the American legacy car manufacturers. Only some of them are really trying to get into the EV market and jumping on the EV bandwagon, but so far none very successfully. Ford is probably the biggest player here, but they're losing a lot of money with each EV sold. Along with Tesla, they're the only US motor company not to have gone bankrupt, I think. But I've got the feeling they got a chance now. Yeah, Ford also owns Lincoln, Volvo, Jaguar Land Rover, all of which are struggling in the EV market. Ford have got their F-150 Lightning, which isn't a bad car, but yeah, I'll give them a 75% chance of survival. Cadillac, they've got the Lyric and the Celestiq with the Optiq coming next year. So they're a division of General Motors, so their fate may be tied with them. There's the GMC Hummer EV, which is a monster of a vehicle. That's in there with them. GM also owns Chevrolet, Buick and GMC. Now, Chevrolet launched a while ago with the Bolt EV and then the Bolt EUV in America, and they sold pretty well. And now they've got a few more like the Blazer and the Equinox. I think one of those was fraught with a few problems. And coming soon, if it's not already here, is the Silverado EV, which is another large pickup truck or ute for us here in Australia. So, as I've said, GMC have got the Hummer. They're coming out with the Sierra 1500 EV. There's the Hummer EV SUV due soon. But all of these are priced up at the higher end of the market. So GM overall, I think, have got a 75% chance along with Ford. So what do you think of my assessments? Let me know in the comments below. Look, I know I haven't covered all legacy auto companies, but if I had, I wouldn't even be halfway through the video at this point. Just bear with me on that one. So what do you think? Yeah, let me know in the comments below. Now, while you're down there, don't forget there's that like and subscribe button. Please, please, please click on those. Costs you nothing, but it does help me and I really appreciate it. And also, by the way, in the description section, have a look there as well for other ways you can help with Ko-fi. There's my Tesla referral, and there are other programs there that I've got that might interest you. And I'll see you all very soon.